Welcome to the Dick Handler concept, you lowlives. Now, I'm not one to voice my opinion in public, but I'll tell you who is. Russell Brand. This week, he released an episode of his cult alternative news show, The Truths, with an emphasis on religion. Now, normally, good old Randy Russ and I share a lot of views and ideologies. But in this instance, we may have crossed swords a little bit, like prep school boys in the corner of the shower. Earlier in the week, Stephen Fry, a man with an IQ only marginally lower than mine, was interviewed by a scary-looking, funny-named Irishman called Gabe Byrne. When asked what Fry would do if summoned to the presence of God at the pearly gates, Stephen Fry replied,
I'd say bone cancer in children? What's that about? How dare you? How dare you create a world in which there is such misery that is not our fault? It's not right. It's utterly, utterly evil. Why should I respect a capricious, mean-minded, stupid God who creates a world which is so full of injustice and pain? That's what I would say.
And you think you're going to get in
No,
on that?
but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to get in on his terms.
I mean, what a wonderful response. Who could argue with that? Fucking Russell Brand did. Well, what Brand argues against is not entirely related to the response that our good old chum Stephen Fry gave. Russell Brand takes a little tangent and uses his response to argue not for a Christian God, not for any God of a doctrine at all, but of a God that made the universe as it is without prejudice, without caring for the little things that me and you might find offensive, like cancer, suffering, and starving children, and goes ahead to make a case for a God a little bit like the man behind the curtain in A Wizard of Oz. Although it seems that Russell accepts that science has the means to answer the questions as to how the universe works, it would appear he believes that it falls short on answering the questions of why. Like why it works and why we are in it. And to enforce his beliefs, he reads an excerpt from a book by a man called Robert Lanzer.
He addresses the flaws in received physics. In the last few decades, there's been considerable discussion of a basic paradox in the construction of the universe as we know it. For example, if the Big Bang had been 1 part in a million more powerful, it would have rushed out too fast for the galaxies and life to develop. If the strong nuclear force were decreased to 2%, atomic nuclei wouldn't hold together, and plain vanilla hydrogen would be the only kind of atom in the universe. If the gravitational force were decreased by just a hair, stars, including the sun, would not ignite. These are 3 of more than 200 physical parameters within the solar system and universe, so exact that it strains credulity to propose that they are random, even if that's exactly what standard contemporary physics boldly suggests.
Now, in order to explain the concept that our good friend Mr. Brand has missed completely, and maybe even highlight why the views of Stephen Fry on religion, of which I share, are expressed so passionately, we turn to famed humanist, dramatist, and author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the late Douglas Adams.
We always ask ourselves why, because we look for intention around us, because we always we do something with intention. You know, we boil an egg in order to eat it. So we look at the rocks and we look at the trees and we wonder what intention is here, even though it doesn't have intention. So we think, so what did this person who made this world intend it for? And this is the point where you think, well, it fits me very well. He must have made it for me. I mean, there's no other conclusion you can come to. And it's rather like a puddle waking up one morning. I know they don't normally do this, but allow me, I'm a science fiction writer. A puddle wakes up one morning and thinks, this is a very interesting world I find myself in. It fits me very neatly. In fact, it fits me so neatly, I mean, really precise, isn't it? It must have been made to have me in it. And the sun rises, and he's continuing to narrate the story about this hole being made to have him in it. And the sun rises, and gradually the puddle is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And by the time the puddle ceases to exist, it's still thinking, it's still trapped in this idea that the hole was there for it. And if we think the world is here for us, we will continue to destroy it in the way that we've been destroying it.
So if, like me, you're sick to the back teeth of airy-fairy, wispy magic, invisible, omnipotent, enchanted, spooky, looky, downright dipshits trying to ram some idea of God, in whatever form, down your throat, just make sure you have your steel-toe cap boots on to kick whatever twist or argument they have right out of the park. Man, Russell, if you're watching, you should know better, kiddo. As always, I'm Dick Handler, and I've been amazing. I'll see y'all next time on the Dick Handler Concept. If you like Dick, and I know most of you do, then why not hit the subscribe button to get Dick on your screens every week?